Touchdown Buffalo. Emmanuel Sanders fires it downfield. Dawson Knox makes the catch, cruises into the end zone. Holy mackerel.
The second consecutive drive ends in an interception. Been a rough night.
Gonna throw it into the end zone. Emmanuel Sanders, touchdown Bills.
4 takeaways tonight for the Buffalo Bills.
We don't lose football games like that, especially at home. This is one you're going to remember.
He is Jalen Rose. I am David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do?
Give the people what they want.
What a weekend of sports. There's so much sports. We can't fit it all in the show. College football, WNBA. We can't even get to it because last night, I don't know if you know Jalen Rose, but I'm part of the Bills Mafia now. And I don't know if you saw the game last night. There was a long delay. I stayed up for every second of it. And you know what happened? The Bills went into Kansas City like they did in the AFC Championship, except this time they left with a win. What do you think of that dominant performance from the class of the AFC?
It starts at the quarterback position where they have an elite player in Josh Allen. And while he does play the position of quarterback, the thing I truly like about him, besides the fact he can make all of the throws and he's a great runner, he's an actual football player.
Football player.
You know what I'm saying? They're not treating him like fine china. That's not how he plays. And I appreciate that so very much. And the squad clearly feeds off. Look at that. Look at that,
jumping
Jacoby.
over people.
Jumping over the defender
Jumping
like
over human beings.
Billy Simmons or something. And so I definitely appreciate that. But let's not overlook actually why they won, though. Their defense has been outstanding. And I told you going into this game, they led the league in 11 categories. Their defensive coordinator, Leslie Frazier, right? Now all of a sudden you're playing against Patrick Mahomes, and he's turning the football over this year,
Sure
Jacoby.
Sure
Do you know
is.
2 years ago he had 5 interceptions? Last year he had 6 interceptions. Did you know our guy, where my homie, already has 6 interceptions, 2 pick sixes, including yesterday, and a fumble, turning the ball over also in the red zone. Now, their defense has struggled really mightily the last few years, but they've been able to overcome it because they had that guy not turning over the football. That changed this season, in particular yesterday. Your Bills Mafia made our correspondent, who I just got a text from, Benny the Butcher, can't wait to come on the show and talk about yesterday's win.
What a huge win this was for the Bills. As I mentioned, in the AFC Championship, in that stadium, they didn't just lose, they got beat. They were outclassed. Last night, it wasn't even close. The Bills were dominant on both sides of the ball. They could move the ball. It seems like the Chiefs couldn't do anything. And all that cute stuff that Patrick Mahomes has been doing the last couple of years, throwing behind the back, throwing his other hand, going under, like, it's not working anymore. It just seems like the clock has run out. We'll see if the Chiefs can turn their season around. But the Bills today are the best team in the AFC, and we'll see the Ravens this evening. But Jalen, I don't know if you saw this, but the Detroit Lions played a football game yesterday.
Why are we even doing this?
And
Why
then,
does got to be second on the show? This ain't a headline.
We have Jalen Rose's reaction after the game. I know you've seen what happened in the game. Let's just see what happened after the game in Jalen Rose's house.
What is this the face of? Meow. What is this the face of? Meow.
Only the Lions can find a way to lose after they've already won. The Lions won the game, Jalen. They won the game. They forced a fumble. They got, and then Adam Thielen just, look at what Adam Thielen did to you, Jalen. How does it feel to watch this again after you lived it yesterday?
First off, our guy Adam Thielen didn't catch a football all day. All day.
It's true.
And on the game-winning drive, catches 2. I know he thought about me. Catches 2. Now, the Lions force a fumble. We recover the ball, Jacoby. We drive. We score. And the rest of the world, like, I know they're going to go for the extra point.
No, there's no way they're going for 2.
I know they're going for the extra point.
Going for 2 would be so dumb right now. You can't go for 2 after you forced
like,
the fumble
I
and you
know
scored a touchdown,
for the extra point, right?
It didn't even look like a fumble.
We're
It
going
didn't
to
even look like
go
a
for 2.
fumble. It didn't even look like a fumble. Like, I was like, wait, the Lions really got the ball? And then, Swift scores. And what happened here, Jay?
Swift scores. Jared Montana throws a 2-point conversion. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute. We're about to win. And then I'm like, you know what? There's more time on the clock. And by the way, this wasn't a chip shot field goal. Wasn't it like 50 yards? See, what happens is when somebody make a record 66-yarder on you, you start to feel like that's normal. Like he made a 50-plus yard field goal to beat us.
After the 2-point conversion, I was going to text you, and I was like, you know what? I've seen too many Lions games to celebrate this right now. I've seen too many Lions games to celebrate this. I'm not even going to text Jay. I'm going to wait until the clock runs out, and when the clock ran out, another 50-plus yard field goal, just another spike in the heart of the Lions. And your reaction after the game was great. We also have a reaction from, and this is what just happened a week ago. I mean, Jay. Like, you guys find new ways to lose, new and creative ways to lose football games. It's really interesting how you guys keep doing this.
Normally, when it's 4th and 19 and the other quarterback has his heels against their goal line, you should win that game. Like, you should win that game. A 66-yard. So we lost 2 games, right, of about, 120 yards worth of field goals? Like, that's crazy. We forced a fumble, Jacoby, scored a touchdown, and got a 2-point conversion. You know what? I just not thought about something. There's a reason why I'm the only person y'all ever see with a Lions helmet. You don't see Megatron with one. You don't see none of the former players.
You need to end this emotionally abusive relationship with the Lions. Honestly, I was going to text you after the 2-point conversion and celebrate. I was like, no way I'm going to do this because I know they're going to lose. Let's move on to some teams that actually are good and that matter in the NFL instead of the Lions and the Vikings. And that is the Packers and the Bengals, tied at 22. Heading into the end of the game. It's like no one wanted to win. It was like no one wanted to win this game. Crosby missed like 17 field goals. Look at this man. His job is to kick field goals. What'd he do, Jay?
He missed a lot of field goals, and this wasn't the only game where kickers seemed to struggle. However, if you're the Bengals, you still feel really good about this loss because you have Joe Burrow and you have Chase, and they've become so very terrific as a young combination, linking up together. Before the Packers, it was all about Devontae Adams. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. And Aaron Jones also rushed over 100 yards. So it's one of those things, if you're the Green Bay Packers, you look back at the schedule, winning ugly does count.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Adams. It just seemed like every time Aaron Rodgers needed something, he just looked for number 17 and found him. It was Adams and Adams and Adams and Adams and Adams. I think the story of this game is going to be the missed field goals and the made field goal at the end. But the story of this game to me was Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, and Aaron Rodgers, proving that with the 3 of them, you always have a chance to win. And do you remember when they lost week 1? When they lost? You remember to the Saints? You remember that game? And we all thought it was going to be dramatic and that they would lose. Well, guess what? The Packers have now won 4 in a row and look to be a contender in the NFC. And Jalen, there's so much that happened this weekend that almost no one's going to discuss this, but we had on Saturday night one of the greatest heavyweight fights I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to say the greatest heavyweight fight I've ever seen in my life. Of course, that was between Fury and Wilder. It was back and forth, and people make the cliche, they're going back and forth like a boxing match. But these two really went toe-to-toe, and it was an amazing night for the sport of boxing. What do you think about this epic, historic battle between these two heavyweights?
A terrific night in boxing. And by the way, I've been telling anybody that will listen, there's nothing, no sporting event like a heavyweight prize fight against 2 gladiators. And the stage was set. First off, they both have disdain for one another. The other thing, it was the 3rd time that they fought. It was a trilogy. And then there's a dichotomy. You got Deontay Wilder, who's chiseled. And then you got Tyson Fury, respectfully has a dad bod, right? So now all of a sudden, Tyson Fury knocks Deontay Wilder down. Wilder responds and knocks him down twice in the same round. This is what we want from our heavyweights. It was almost like Rocky. You want to see the heavyweights throwing power blows, but there's more. Fury knocks him down again. And then the third time ends up being a KO. It was the theater that we wanted and deserved. I know Deontay is disappointed that he lost and he didn't talk in the ring afterwards, but it doesn't take away from the fact that that was a historic heavyweight bout that many people are going to be talking about forever.
It wasn't the sweet science. I don't know if the art of boxing and the skill was shown the way we see it in other fights, but it was just two guys just exchanging right hands. Just right hand after right hand. And the chins that they both showed in the ring were just absolutely phenomenal. It was such a great night for sports on the heels of Michigan winning late and the Red River rivalry going late, and then Alabama lost to A&M, and then this fight. What a weekend for sports, and we're not done wrapping it all up because like Wilder and Fury exchanging blows, so were the Chargers and the Browns in a thriller. We'll break that down and much more right after this. Coming to you live above the Heineken River Deck here at Pier 17 in New York City. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, like Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, two heavyweights of the AFC were exchanging blows. Of course, I'm talking about the Chargers and the Browns. And it came down to Eckler winning the game for the Chargers, but both teams played great. What do you think about this game?
San Diego Superchargers, and I'm gonna say this all season. One of my favorite squads to watch was the Chargers growing up, and they had Dan Fouts under center with Wes Chandler, Charlie Joyner, and Chuck Muncie, James Brooks in the backfield, I believe was his name. That's what this team reminds me of. They got weapons. You got Williams, you got Eckler, right? Like Keenan Allen. And now you got your franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. He was the difference. It wasn't that Baker played horrible, but I told you going into this game, the elephant in the room for me was gonna be if Baker could find a way to get the ball to Odell. And that still didn't happen.
Nope. It did not happen, and it was Justin Herbert who looked great yesterday, looking ever since the Tyrod Taylor incident happened and he had to come in the game against the Chiefs. Justin Herbert has been everything that you want from a quarterback here in his sophomore season. Him and the Los Angeles Chargers have looked outstanding, but I'm going to say this. You know I like moral victories. Big moral victory for the Browns here. They established the run. Baker played just good enough to show you that they can compete in the AFC, and I think that we will see both of these teams in the playoffs. I'm going to say a decent game from the Browns here. If I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, I walk away from this saying we went toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the AFC and almost won the game. And I always love it when the defenders pull someone into the end zone. They had like a non-consensual touchdown at the end of the game there. It was so fun to watch. But we move on to another contest, and that was between the only undefeated team in the NFL heading into Week 5, went up against the 49ers and established themselves as the class not just in their difficult division, but in the NFC. The Cardinals are now 5-0. Jalen, what do you think about Kyler Murray yesterday?
Wasn't an exciting game, definitely wasn't high scoring, but that guy right there, Joe Pesci, was the difference. And you saw how he threw that dime to D-Hop, too.
Right there.
Who got his touchdown yesterday also. And as you mentioned, remain undefeated. That's the key. The Cardinals, led by my guy, Kyler Joe Pesci Murray. You mess around with the mob, you'll get whacked. You know, Joe Pesci is that little guy you hate to see coming, right? There's a big fat neck boy standing around, and then all of a sudden Joe Pesci walking in, whack, 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 whack. That's Kyler Murray this year, 5-0.
Jalen, this Monday and the previous Mondays, what are they doing in Dallas?
Celebrate good times, come on. So much so, They're having a championship parade in Dallas today.
Yeah.
If right now, if you're in Texas, I want you to go to the parade. It's happening. You're not there. You're missing it. You see Jimmy Johnson? You see my guy Haley in there. I wanted to make sure he was in there. Every time Dallas beats an opponent, they're going to get crowned by their fans, supporters, and people in the media like they just won a championship. But let me still pay homage. Dak is balling this year.
Yes, he is.
Zeke is balling this year. And you know what I like looks so pretty? It looks so pretty. It reminded me of Drew Pearson going deep, right? Watching that 88 and CD Lamb. That was beautiful. And how about their defense? It was non-existent the last couple of years. Now you're seeing their defense flying around. Diggs gets an interception basically every game.
Every game. Every single game, Trayvon Diggs has an interception. I think he has 6 interceptions in 5 games. Every single game he gets an interception. It is wild. And this time he got an interception on a deep ball, which is normally not what he does, but it was a really good. They're showing up on both sides of the ball. We're going to talk about Dak, we're going to talk about Zeke, but they are a complete team. Unlike last year where it seems like they had holes, especially on defense, they have no holes. Like, are
Correct.
they the best team in the NFC?
No, the Tampa Bay Bucks are the best team in the NFC. But here's the thing I want to say about Diggs that plays for the Cowboys, who has a brother clearly that plays for the Buffalo Bills, Stephon, who's a terrific receiver. So many times the difference between players who play D-back and receiver are if they have hands. And one of the jokes that are made is like some D-backs are playing like they're wearing boxing gloves. They can't catch the ball. Like, he has great ball skills. And so it doesn't necessarily surprise me that his brother's an all-pro receiver, that he also has good hands defensively. And it's been a game changer for the Cowboys.
So, Jalen, you just incorrectly said that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the best team in the NFC, and you can't be wrong about your opinion. That's fine. I disagree with it. However, they did look great yesterday against the Miami Dolphins. Tom Brady had...
I'm not saying I'm the best. No, sorry, I'm lying. He's number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And AB was getting out there on them boys.
Yeah, he was.
Turned it up the field, took it to the house. You know, this is going to be interesting for the Miami Dolphins for me, because obviously Tua's out, Jacoby's playing for him, and what's going to happen with the Deshaun Watson speculation is what I'm paying attention to for this squad, because they had a lot of progress that they made in multiple phases last year. Really good defensively, really good on special teams. They just needed to fill the spot at quarterback. Well, now all of a sudden, as their season is getting close to going in the opposite direction of what their goals probably hope to have happen, I wonder if that's going to increase their desperation to possibly try to do a deal.
Well, we talk about them doing a deal for a quarterback, and we should not be talking about them doing a deal for a quarterback because they drafted Tua Tagovailoa, who was a highly rated prospect. They drafted him so early that the idea that we're discussing them making a deal for a quarterback just shows how desperate they are to improve at that position. And you know I hate to root against Jacoby. Jacoby tried. The first quarter looked good for Jacoby, but Jacoby fell apart, and Tom Brady is the GOAT. Jalen, Ben Simmons has completely hijacked this program. Sixers that we have an update on. Something tells me this won't be the last. Our colleague Adrian Wojnarowski says that Clutch Sports and the 76ers are trying to build a path for Ben Simmons to rejoin the team in the preseason. What do you think of this development?
I'm not surprised. He has 4 years left on this deal. There's no way the Philadelphia 76ers can pick up the phone, try to do a deal for him, and ask for what you should be asking for if you're going to trade an all-NBA performer who's also all-defense, except he performed so poorly against the Hawks, who didn't have a process and have seemingly passed the Sixers with Simmons and Embiid to the point where they knocked them out of the playoffs, and Ben Simmons had zeros in a couple of fourth quarters. You don't get traded by not coming to training camp and not playing in the preseason. Now it's going to be awkward when he shows up because the fans and his teammates know he just there so he can get his money, like Marshawn at a press conference.
It does feel like they played this wrong. He should have showed up in training camp. He should have showed up for every preseason game. He's already lost about $500,000 by not being there. Something tells me that's what motivated him to this latest development. Jalen, tonight we have Lamar Jackson and the Ravens taking on the Colts. The Ravens and Lamar run away with this one, right?
I believe so. The Carson Wentz experiment hasn't gone so very well for the Colts, but I know what I'm going to get from that guy right there. A terrific dual threat who has more weapons to throw to. I do believe the Ravens find a way to get it done. What did you bet on this game?
Oh, you know, I mean, in New Jersey, gambling is legal, so I might have taken my kids out to New Jersey this weekend and made a parlay where Lamar Jackson scores a touchdown and the Ravens win by at least 7. And I feel very good about that. I feel very good about that. How did your wagers work out this weekend, Mr. Rose?
They worked out pretty well because I bet that Tyson Fury was going to win.